All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am so excited to have you join us for another exciting interview. I have a very special guest I'm going to introduce in a minute. Again, if you're joining us for the very first time, okay, type a one, a number one in the comments, so we can say thank you and acknowledge you for being here. Now, one of the things you guys know is I absolutely love real estate. In the comment, type real estate if you're like me and you love real estate. So I cannot think of a better individual who has become not only someone I know who's one of the top producing realtors here in Canada, he's become a friend. He is a family man. He absolutely loves to help people. And recently I was at a gala where there was hundreds, several hundreds top producing realtors, and he every year after year, he is one of the top producing realtor in this company. So when it comes to buying, selling, renting real estate, and so on, I can't think of a better person than Mr. Riyaz Rauf to be with us today. Riyaz, welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much, Gordon. It's always a pleasure meeting up with you, speaking to you. You had always gone out of the way to help me as well as other people. And that's what's rubbing on to us. And we always enjoy speaking to you. Thanks, Gordon.
Wow. Well, I know Riaz, you're giving props back to me, but one of the things I know that you are an incredible individual when it comes to mindset and think and grow rich. And Napoleon Hill always talks about going that extra mile. And that's one of the things that I see you doing with your clients.
See, one thing is, Gordon, we are all self employed. And when you are self employed, it is us who got to motivate ourselves. Nobody else is going to come and supervise us, do things for us. Our success depends on what we commit ourselves to be. So that's one of the things that I would always emphasize to myself, as well as even my clients. What I always say is nobody is going to come and help you. You might be working for someone, you might be self employed. If you want to buy a home or you're going to sell something, you do your research, you work with a realtor. It's you that gets things done. Nobody else would do it for you.
Love that, right? Jim Rohn says, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And that's something I see in you. Well, why don't we jump right into today's topic? Because the real estate market, it's a really hot topic right now. And Riaz, one of the things I want to ask you is you have some acronyms that always impresses me, like MOM and YOY. Could you tell us a little bit about why, those two things are so important for you when it comes to real estate for yourself and for your clients?
Yeah, one of the things is we have to read the market well if we are to look at investments and how our assets are performing and how to look at the market in another 3 months to 6 months time. So starting in January, when I did one of the videos, I went out of the way to explain to people that we are always used to looking at month over month appreciation in the real estate market, and
Mm,
that is not the way to look at it. Say, for
mm,
example, we know we had a turbulent year in 2022 after March because of the interest rate hikes. However, when you look back now, in 2022, we completed 2022 with a 9% increase in the average price.
wow. 9%.
Now, 9% year over year compared to 2021, because the price in 2021 was average price was 1,050,000, and we ended up at 1,149,000. 1,189,000, which is a 9% appreciation. Now, we should not go by that, because if you make a decision based on that, it's going to give a wrong impression of the
Mm,
market. So I always emphasize to look at month over month. So what happened last month and what's happening now, that would give you a momentum for the future.
okay.
So if I were to explain further about it, with your permission, Gordon, if I could
Or
insert one chart.
please.
Okay. Now, for example, this is when we look at year over year, what's happening in the market. So year over year, volumes drop for February. That's February 22 compared to February 23. The volumes dropped by 47%.
Well, Riaz, that's
Now,
almost half. That's almost half it dropped by.
yeah, half, because say From 9,000 units, we dropped to 4,700 units.
Wow.
That's almost close to 50% or 47% drop in the
Hmm.
sales, because people were not buying, and also people were not willing to sell their properties at a low price than what they deserve to get. So that's why we dropped volume by 47%. Now, on the other hand, it's also true that we lost price or average value of 20% in the market. So from last February, we were at 1,334,000. It dropped to 1,095,000 this year, February. So that's a drop of 18% in value.
That's
Now,
incredible.
now, when somebody reads this, that it looks like it's a bloodbath and there is problem in the real estate market. So what I would like to explain is, I'll go to slide 2, which would explain, for example, now when you look at this, in January, our prices were 1,038,000,
Hmm.
average price of a home in Toronto. And now in February, the average price of a home has gone up to 1,095,600, which means there was an appreciation of 57,000 or 5.5% appreciation in the month over month value of the home. This is showing the trend. And if we were to go and also if we were to look at the volume since March, I'm looking at onto your left side, you will see the March figures. You will see in March our volume was 10,000 plus sales, and
Wow.
our price was 1,298,000. Now, since March, this is the first time in the last 10 months we have a month where month over month sales has improved, and also month over month price has improved.
Wow.
The
You know,
price
yes, that's,
improved by 58,000, and the volumes improved by 1,689, or 50% appreciation, volume positive appreciation, or sale of 1,900 units, 1,689 units more sales than January.
I love it. So when you look at the month over month, the numbers are actually way better than year over year.
Exactly. So what is important, even if we look at the volumes, we look at volumes from, say, for example, last year, 2022, if we look at March, 10,000 units, then it's 7,000, 7,000, 6,000. It kept on dropping. In December, we went down to 3,000 units. And now in January, it went down to 3,004 units. But for the first time in February, it added 1,800 units more than January. So we sold 4,700 units, but it's true, it is 47% less than what we sold last year in that month.
Wow. That's incredible, Riyaz, because, you know, most of us who aren't realtors, we would look at the numbers and think um, prices have declined, right? Sales have come down, and we're thinking the sky's falling. But you just showed us that, wow, the market, the market is actually pretty good.
Yeah, Gordon. So this is very interesting, because what you and I are talking here, it's very easy for me to explain to a savvy investor or someone who have already bought real estate and who owns properties. On the other hand, it's very difficult for me to explain these to a first-time home buyer or a novice, because I need to do a lot of explaining, because they like to see the numbers and the hype in the market happening to get to where they want to be.
Right.
Uh, Now, what that also means is, in this month, in March and April, the investors are going to dominate the market, and investors are the ones who would be buying on a buying spree in the next 2 months. By probably in the second quarter, there's going to be a lot of end users or first-time home buyers who will come into the market.
Okay. So the first question I have for you then is, why do you think the investors would be busy in this market right now?
Because the investors, for two things. Number one, the investors are seeing the trend, because, say, we had a pause in the interest rate hike yesterday. So In January, we had 0.25 increase, and yesterday it was zero. So after 1 year or after 8 consecutive increases, we saw a signal that the pausing of the interest rate hikes. Of
Wow.
course, we have 6 more announcements for this year. And what I think is out of the 6, probably about 3 would be interest rate cuts that would happen. And probably that would happen toward the second quarter, sorry, second half of the year, third and fourth quarter. But at this point in time, we would look at investors looking at, say, for example, if somebody were to buy a property now, they would always go with a 3 months closing, which means they are going into May, June. By June, there would be 2 more interest rate announcements, and the
Okay.
chances are at least there's going to be one cut during that time,
Wow.
and that person is going to own it for the next last 6 months of this year, probably on a downward slide of the interest rates.
Well, Riaz, that is really interesting because the last time we talked a couple of weeks ago, you had made a prediction that the Bank of Canada was going to hold their rates, and I'm thinking, oh, come on, my friend, they 8 times in a row they increased it, but you predicted that they were going to hold, and they did. Now you're predicting that you think interest rates may go down. That's good news for home buyers.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention one more thing, Gordon. I told you the average price went up from 1,030,000 in January to 1,095,000, which is a 57,000 appreciation in February.
That's
Now, I I honestly, when I did a prediction in December, when I forecasted for my clients for the year, I expect this price to be achieved in April. I expected 1,090,000 in April. So we are like kind of 4 months ahead.
wow. So you
If
think
I
we're
may,
wow.
yeah, if I may go to the next slide, say, have a look at this one, please. This was predicted somewhere in early January or end of December. Say February, we are at, I expected the price to be at $1,060,000, but we managed to get to 1,095,000.
That's amazing.
Now, in my chart, I expect to cross 1,090,000 only in April.
Mm.
But this happened even before that. So, and I expect in April, now by May I am expecting 1.1 million. But also it's important to note that I am expecting at the end of the year I am expecting 1,120,000 to be the price.
Okay.
Whereas the Toronto Real Estate Board has predicted 1,140,000. I mean, it's a difference of 20,000 between my
Yes.
prediction and the Toronto Real Estate Board. And I wish the board is right. And I think it looks like from the price hype that we are seeing already.
That's amazing. So those your numbers in the trap is pretty similar.
And one more thing is, Gordon, one more thing I'm building trying to explain this to some of the people who might be watching who are first time home buyers. See, we did have a challenging year last year, and we saw what was happening was we were listing houses and the house would not sell, and you are relisting the house again, and you got to relist, and eventually you sell for a slightly lesser price. So
Mm.
now that was a trend, and I would like to show this next
Yeah,
slide,
please.
which basically explains the relisting percentage. So
Mm.
if it's in this slide, if we look at it from the bottom, in May of last year, our relisting percentage was 26.4.
Mm.
In other words, from the number of houses that were put to sell, 26% got relisted or readjusted because it did not sell.
Okay.
And it hit a height. Peak was in June. We went up to 29.6, or almost 30%, or 1/3 of all the listings got relisted.
Mm.
Now, gradually it started coming down, and in December, we were at 22.7, but still high.
Still
Now,
pretty. Yes.
look at January. We went down to 19.9.
Mm.
And then look at February, this month, 16.6.
Wow.
So, number of homes that are being priced right are getting sold.
These numbers are amazing, Riaz, because not knowing these numbers, I'm thinking, oh, things aren't selling. But you're showing numbers here where more homes that are actually listed, more homes are actually being sold than relisted.
Yep, it's a matter of we get all this data from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, but it's very important to interpret the way and present to your clients so that they understand what's really going on. Uh,
Yeah.
Gone are the days where you looked at what happened 1 year ago. Now it's you got to go with the momentum, and also today we
Mm.
got the employment data coming up, and unemployment still is at 5%, staying stable.
Okay.
In other words, we created 22,000 new jobs
Mm.
for the month of February, and that's for the third consecutive month. We are having job creations happening and the economy doing well.
Amazing. Yeah. So, how is the employment rate affecting real estate right now, do you think?
Say it's the confidence levels, and also so say more people employed. Of course, we are looking at a trend of home buyers, more buyers coming into the market, etc.
Yes.
Now, what I am looking at more is because, say, we have paused our interest rate hike yesterday, but it doesn't mean that the the Bank of Canada will keep it same next time in April, or maybe they might want to increase or reduce. So the reduction and the cuts would come when the inflation is under control. At the moment, we are at 5.8.
Okay.
We were at a peak of 8.1. We have brought it down to a good extent. However, there is also food inflation. And also,
Wow.
when there is the whole idea of an interest rate hike is basically telling you to slow down the economy.
Mm.
And our economy, I don't see any trends of slowing down. It's still working and delivering results,
Yeah.
which also talks of the Canadian economy, the strong economy.
Yeah. Very strong economy. So, Riaz, for someone looking to buy a house, then how with interest rates, with unemployment rates, and so on, where do you see the market? You see prices going up, going down? Like, how do you see it right now?
Like I said earlier chart, I showed you that month over month, I expect an increase in the prices in the market now till December. But those are not going to be huge increases like before. Uh,
Yes.
and at the end of the day, I mean, I predict this year probably we may have, compared to last year, we may have a decline in the average price of about 4 to 6%.
4 to 6%.
That's fair. 4 to 6% on the average price for the whole year. That's
Yes.
because we might be losing at the beginning and catching up in the tail end. So, which basically means we are having month over month, we will keep on having appreciation, and which also means if somebody were to buy an average home now, most
Yes.
likely by the end of the year, that person would be making about 5 to 6% gain, appreciation, year
Wow.
over year appreciation for that property.
I mean, that is so significant. I wasn't thinking of talking about this earlier. You and Reshti have a really nice system. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You buy a home and then in 3 years own five. But even if I just have one, based on what you just said, if I bought $1 million home and it went up by
Small,
5%, that's a lot. That's a
small,
huge gain.
small correction, Gordon. It's
Okay.
um, it's own 3 homes in 5 years. It's not
Own
five
three
homes.
to 5 years. So there you go. That's why you're the
Five
expert.
years.
That's why you're the expert.
Yeah. But what it also means is we always speak about this to first time home buyers.
Okay.
Sometimes people think that we are crazy to talk to a first time home buyer about 3 homes, whereas they are struggling to get their own
Their
first
own,
home.
right? Yeah.
Right? But what is important is it's extremely important to explain to the first time home buyer or a person who is going to buy in a couple of years, but to explain the blueprint, what potential you have, what you can do by home ownership in
Yes.
5 years.
In
Um, what
5 years.
it also means is you got to buy your first house in a way that it enables you and empowers you to do all these.
Yes.
which also means the first home that you're buying is not going to be your final destination. It is
Right.
only a stepping stone to get to your
I like
dream home.
I like that. I learned it from you last time. So do me a huge favor. For some of my friends who are watching, this is Riyaz Rauf. Household name is the tagline, but I'll tell you what, he's a great friend. He's an incredible realtor. He cares about his clients first. And so Riyaz, what do you mean by that? Can you dive a little bit deeper that your first house that you buy doesn't have to be your final destination? Can you dive a little
So
deeper into that?
yeah, say for example, now when I mean, yesterday we were going out with a client who's basically planning to sell his home next month and buy a bigger home, and it's going to be his final destination. Um, in other words, that's his last home, not
Mm,
in terms of volume, but he wants that's his primary home, and he has a long list of things that he wants in those house, and that is fair. And I got to sit with him, listen to him, and deliver at least 95% of the things that he wants in that home.
mm.
Now, on the other hand, when we are talking of a first time home buyer and we are telling him, giving him all the idea of how he can own multiple properties in the future, what he is basically investing, although he is buying his first home, he's buying an investment property.
Okay. So that
So
first
for him,
home, see that's why I wanted, some of my friends to hear me as I always used to think, buy your first home for yourself. But your
so it
concept,
is
mhm,
the client has to come up with the mentality of, I am buying, yes, he's buying his first home, but that's an investment property. So look at it from an investment point of view. For every dollar, how many dollars is it going to give you, and within, is it going to give you a reward in 1,000 days or 3 years time, and which would enable you to springboard to the next one. So you got to get out of your uh, home buyer
yes.
mentality into an investor buyer mentality.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. My son told me that back in December. He said, Dad, some people should consider renting and then buying a property they could rent out as an investment. I said, son, you're wrong. Like you should always own your own home. And he was right. Here, listening to you talk now, I bet my son would be thinking, Dad, you should be listening to Riaz. I love that concept, Riaz.
Say, if I were to give you thank you, Gordon. If I were to give you an example, like say for example, there's a new immigrant who comes into the country.
Yes.
If he thinks he wants to buy a 3 bedroom with a one car garage, 3 bedroom, a townhouse, a freehold, now he's looking at least a minimum of 750 to 800,000,
Wow.
and he's looking at a down payment of almost close to 100,000, and that might be an uphill task. And when he keeps on postponing his decision, the real estate market catches up and the prices catch up, and he finds it very difficult to reach that goal. So what we advise is, say, you know what, continue to live where you live,
Yeah.
rent out, it doesn't matter. Let's buy something for 500,000 by putting 25,000 as a deposit, because you
Right.
can buy a 500,000 property technically with $25,000 as 5% deposit,
Wow. That's
and
incredible.
and rent out that property for the next 3 years, and then at the end of 3 years, let's try to sell it for about 35% profit that you get to combine and have a bigger down payment to move on to your second home.
To the second home. Love it. Love it. That's a great strategy. Now I want to switch gears for a minute. What would you recommend? We talked about an investment, but what would you actually recommend to, let's say, a first-time home buyer right now?
Can you repeat that question
First
again,
time,
please?
there's a first-time home buyer right now. What would you advise them right now to do? The first time,
um, get into the market as soon as possible.
okay?
um, do not try to buy with the maximum amount that you can afford to buy. Even if your mortgage broker says you can buy something for 800,000, try to go for 600 or 650.
Okay.
No matter what the economy is going to be, whatever you the things that you buy for less appreciates the most.
Mm,
Like even in the last 6 months when the interest rates went up, the demand has appreciated hugely for properties less than 900,000 or 950,000, and there's a huge drop in the demand for 1.5 billion, 1.6 billion properties.
wow. So there's a drop in the higher price properties.
Always the case when things go wrong.
Mm.
That's why it's always good. I mean, like, it's a first time home buyer. You know, this is not your final destination. So don't max up the 700,000 that you are approved for. Go for 600, 650 if you can. Save up a little bit and tie up for the next 3 years, and then look at the next leap.
That's amazing. We talked about interest rates, unemployment, what's happening in the market, and giving good advice for first-time home buyers and investors. Would you mind if I switch gears and kind of put you on the spot for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. We have a lot of friends who are also real estate agents and realtors themselves. And I remember talking to somebody yesterday and they said, "Oh, I missed out on a sale for my client, and it was only like $1,000, right? Multiple offers. Sometimes it can be really discouraging. Like a market like this, like today, can be really discouraging for some real estate agents, realtors, especially new ones, right? How do you keep so positive? Like you're Mr. Positive. Like, how do you stay positive in a market like this? And what would you say to maybe a realtor who's facing, something like that for the first time?
See, what's very important is it's a two-way role, Gordon. It's a hand in glove relationship that you have with your clients.
Mm,
So it's very important that, because it's very important, the dialogue and the chats that you have with your clients, right?
mm,
Now, let's say, for example, your friend who lost that transaction, he should never kick himself. He
mm.
should never be disappointed about himself. He should be proud and walk straight to his client and say, I did my best. I did everything, because it's not my commission that was at stake. It was the extra money that you're going to pay. Right?
Right.
Because understand, in this industry, that client is your client forever.
Wow. Forever,
You have you
right?
you have
Like that.
you don't have 1% doubt that client, if that client did not buy that property yesterday, next week he will change realtors and go to another realtor and buy. That clients never have that opportunity, because you have dealt with him, you have built up a relationship. He or she knows what is getting from you. So it's a huge bonding that you have with your client. So you can always do the best for them. You're not looking at,
Mm,
when you're fearful, you think, what, if I don't get him a house in the next 1 month, he may change realtors. Then you go and put him in a wrong place. Not the house that's going to benefit him. It's benefiting only the realtor. So
wow.
a little bit of ownership has to be taken by the people, the clients also, who gives confidence to the realtor. You know what? Now that I have decided to work with you, I trust you. Take your time. Do the best for me.
Love that. What a great attitude and great advice. So if any of my friends out there who are in the real estate industry, again, that's amazing advice from my friend Riyaz, one of the top realtors, not only I believe in the company he's with, but across the country. Riyaz, again, the market right now. I'm going to put you back on the spot again because people are saying that prices are so high right now. How can I even afford to get into the marketplace? So for some of our kids that are in their 20s and 30s, everyone's saying it's almost impossible for them to buy a property right now. Do you hear that? Do you hear people say that to you?
Correct.
So what's the solution for? Is there a couple of solutions on how some of our kids could get into the real estate market today?
Let's look at it this way. Let's talk to a teenager. Every teenager today is walking around with iPhone.
Yes, and they're nicer than my iPhone.
Now the question is, they didn't say, I want a phone, I need an iPhone. Now the home ownership also something similar, because everybody says, I need to own a home, and
Mm,
that home, that dream is a final destination, forever home. I
yeah.
need a town home. They're not looking at the two-step process. It doesn't matter. Let my son stay with me for the next 2 years, but I'm going to buy him something for 400,000 somewhere, and I'm going to rent it out for the next 3 years. Should be the father's attitude.
Wow. Wow.
So that would be. Let me give you an example. Like, let me try to see if I can show that slide, um, which basically explains in Toronto. 40% of the condos are owned by investors.
Wow. 40%.
40% of the condos are owned by the investors. So 5.6% is owned by non-residents. 13.4% is owned by businesses that invest. 1% or less is owned by out of province. 22% are from in-province people. So Ontarians own 22%, and the total is 40% of our condos in GTA is owned by investors. Now,
Wait a minute.
this category,
Are you sure those numbers are correct? I never knew that. I would have never thought only 22% are owned by Ontarians.
it's by the reliable source. So you have a look at the source of that. Those facts, see, the facts are stubborn. Facts talk for themselves. No. Now, what would happen is in that 40%, there is also probably a good percentage who owns that as an investment property.
Okay.
But he lives with his parents.
That's a great strategy.
Yeah, he might, because see, most of my clients are doing it. So I know because I fix my clients up for this. So I am aware of it. So I mean, like I'm just one of 74,000 realtors now. So I'm sure the other 74,000 are also doing it. So that figure could also include some of those people.
Yeah. You know, that's so smart. I'm always, my kids are married now. I'm even telling my kids, look, because I want to spend more time with my grandchildren. I'm telling them, move in with us, move in with us. We'll even move into the in-law suite in the basement. And they're like, no, we got to own our own home. But your strategy is so brilliant. You know, for the dads who are out there that just heard what Riyaz said, if affordability is there and you can help your kids buy a property, isn't that the best estate planning?
Of
Yes.
course.
Right?
See, the future is this, Gordon. Say if you know well that I don't watch news in the morning till at least till afternoon or evening. I don't watch news in the morning. But yesterday was exception because at 10 o'clock I was watching to listen to the interest rate announcement. So around 9:45, I also saw the Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown coming and giving out a voice cut on few things of the municipality. And this is what he said. As the mayor of the largest city that attracts most of the immigrants,
yes,
because we are expecting minimum 500,000 a year for the next 5 years,
wow,
or at least till 2025. The thing is, Toronto, GTA needs 1.5 million new homes to be built.
1.5 million new homes.
1.5 million new homes to be built in the next 10 years. That is the need.
That's incredible.
Our capacity at the moment is to build 700,000 homes only.
Wow.
So there is a shortage of 800,000 homes that are going to come in the next 10 years. This is going to push up the rental market. It is going to push up the prices of the homes and everything else. And what do you think investors look at?
Wow.
They're looking at buy today.
Yeah.
You're going to see that hype coming in.
Wow. That's incredible.
And although I'm not politically affiliated, I hear what he was saying because I do understand Brampton is also one of the magnets where it attracts a lot of immigrants population, and he was quite right about it.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Riyaz, thank you so much for taking time to be here with us because I know you're extremely busy. You know, you talked about advice for first-time home buyers, talked about advice for investors potentially and what's happening with interest rates. I want to switch gear and put you on the spot one more time because I want folks watching to think, okay, does this guy actually really know real estate? You talked about Brampton. I heard somebody bought a house, I think last year when the market was high and the house was like 1.4 million. And then when the market went down, The house is now only worth like maybe 1.2 million, so it dropped by $200,000. What would you say to that homeowner?
Okay, so two questions here. The scenario that you're giving is, did he buy at 1.4 million a resale home or a pre-construction?
Resale home, a resale home.
Okay,
It wasn't a
so
condo, pre-construction. It was a resale home. And by the way, the person who sold it, like this, the help the owner, the vendor, he was happy, right? Because he got, a really good price. What would you say to somebody like that? Because I know real estate is an emotional roller coaster game, and you're so good at helping people manage their emotions.
say I'm giving a straight answer without looking at many scenarios or situations.
Yes.
But to an extent, what I'm trying to tell the audience here is, always think out of the box.
Mm.
Not always think of opportunities in every adversity. There is opportunity, great opportunity than the adversity that you're going through. Now, for example, this individual bought a home at 1.4 million, and the chances are in Brampton, if he had bought a house for 1.4 million, that is a 4-bedroom home, which is about 3,000 square feet and 2-car garage.
Yes.
The
Yes.
chances are. Now, all those homes at the moment has dropped to about 1.2 million.
Yes.
Correct? I agree.
And
And
some people start to panic, right? Some people start panicking, like, oh no, right? I bought it for this, now it's worth less.
So if he's a very conservative person, if it's very relaxed in life, what he would do is, although concerned, what he would do is, my advice is, hold on to it, wait for another 6 months. By another 8 months' time, you're going to go back to that price.
Wow. Great
That's
advice.
first advice.
Yes.
Okay. If you want to do nothing, because you're not going to lose on that. Now, on the other hand, there's something very interesting one can do. God, when he bought that 1.4 million home, he put at least $280,000 as down payment, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 300,000 for convenient. Okay,
Okay.
he put a 300,000 down payment. Let's assume now he sells the house for 1.2 million.
Okay.
He sells the house for 1.2 million, and he already lost 200,000.
Yes.
But today, for 1.2 million, he's able to buy a house which was 1.6 million 1 year ago.
Okay.
Okay. So you can upgrade yourself to a 5-bedroom.
Wow.
3,500 or 4,000 square feet, 2-car garage, and you don't have to even put the down payment, because you can port the 300,000 to the new one.
Right. Wow.
So you upgraded from a house that was 1.4 million that has dropped to 1.2 into a 1.6 million home that you're buying at 1.2.
That's incredible.
Right? Always find a solution in the problem itself. I'm not saying that he should do that, but
yes,
if he's comfortable, he should hold on to it, because I'm confident with the prices, the way it's moving, where it's moving.
yes.
But on the other hand, if he's really somebody who's panicking, oh, the mortgage rates are high, I can't manage, why not look at that option?
Wow. Great advice. Don't panic.
Every adversity gives you a even bigger opportunity.
I love that. Yeah. I think Napoleon Hill says that, doesn't he? Like every adversity yields a seed of equal or greater opportunity. Can you think of a time at all during your real estate career where something like that actually happened to someone, where they thought there was a huge adversity with their real estate, but it created a better opportunity for them? Can you think of a time at all from your experiences during your?
I mean, like, say for example, the example that I gave you, although you told me it's from Brampton,
Yes.
I'm basically, again, I did it for a client from Mississauga.
Okay.
I
Okay.
did it.
Yes.
So it's just that you said Brampton, and we did the same thing, and of course the values were different. He
Yeah.
bought it for about 1.1 million, and we sold it around 950,000.
Okay.
And then we upgraded to a bigger house.
See, that's something I never even thought of. Yes.
See,
it
the
appeared
thing
like he
is,
appeared like he lost money, but then he was able to reinvest into something else, like you said, that was also at a lower price.
yeah. Also in our scenario, because he sold it, lost about 75,000. I would say he would have lost 100,000 there, but he managed to move into a better house with a rentable basement, which is paying off almost 40% of his mortgage. So
That's incredible.
that mortgage increase doesn't come into play at all.
Wow. So that was even a better situation, a nicer home, bigger home, and the rental income helped to offset some of the mortgage payments.
Options are available.
That's amazing. No wonder you're called a household name.
Thank you.
Well, again, once again, thank you so much for the folks who are watching. If you have any questions, please write them in the comment, okay? Because I know Riaz would double back later and help answer some of the questions you may have. And
Yeah.
so, yes, before we go, do you have any final thoughts, any final comments?
Yeah, God, I was about to, because in the last 3 months, probably I would have done about 15 YouTubes talking about the market. We had a discussion about 3 weeks ago while I was in Sri Lanka with you.
Yes.
Say there are few things that I would like to fine tune.
Okay.
I was earlier saying the best selling period would start in the second half or starting in June, but I think I have to bring it forward, advance it. I think even the sellers, they should be comfortable selling in April, May, or June. Um, if need be, I think once March break is over, things are going to be great for sellers.
Okay.
And also our inventory is very low at this point in time. So I'm bringing forward my selling prediction, where I said May, June will be better months to start thinking of selling. But I would say if you want to sell, you can start thinking now. The market has changed drastically to the better.
Wow. So your prediction is it's actually moved forward, like closer.
Yep.
So you think April, May, or June are good months. So if somebody was thinking of selling in April, May, or June, how can they prepare now? Like, what would they need to do today to start preparing for that? Would you say?
I mean, first is to give a call to a realtor. Speak. I always say this. You know my advertisement which says speak to two realtors and give me a call. Speak to at least two realtors. See what they can do for your property. Tell them to give them estimate and give you the guidelines how these things can be sold, and then whether they are going to buy another house and what is the buying period. Because buying period is now actually. The selling period could be next month. And also look at the mortgage changes that may be happening in the next few months,
Okay.
and also understand that when you buy a house or sell a house, at this point in time, it's always good to have a 3-month closing or prepare. If you are selling, you need 3 months to close that transaction.
Why 3 months?
Whereby
Why 3 months? Was it faster
uh,
closings before?
it's say it's always stress free and it's comfortable if you go for that 3 months.
Okay.
Within that 3 months, you can always, if you're selling your house and if you know you are closing in 2 months, you can always go and buy. You should not be in a situation where you are paying unnecessarily because you're forced to buy early or sell early.
Mm,
It's not worth doing that in this market, because every penny that you deserve to get, you it should be in your hands.
got it. So unnecessary stress and actually keep.
Avoid it.
Yeah, I love that. That's great advice. Yeah. You mentioned also keep, I forgot how exactly how you said it, but you said be aware of mortgages, maybe things may change in the next couple of months. What are your thoughts on that again? What?
Like I said, I mean, we have had two interest rate announcements already,
Okay.
and we do have 6 more announcements to come, and I expect out of the six, at least two to be interest rate cuts,
Okay.
and the other four, maybe two or three would be holding it steady.
Okay.
But definitely there'll be two cuts probably towards the latter part of the year, so that you are looking at whether you want to go for a fixed mortgage or whether it's a variable. All that comes into play.
I love it. Well, the
And
last.
also, and one more thing is, in April, it is also not only the interest rate announcement that Bank of Canada is going to do. They are also going to do the review of the economy. So that's a crucial month when they make they're touching on all aspects of it, and then a review of the economy itself,
Okay.
and then they would be making that announcement, which would be a
Right.
crucial announcement.
That's another factor to look into. So the last 3 weeks ago, you made a prediction that they would hold the rates. What I want to see, what's your prediction for the next round? Do you think they're going to hold it? It's going to go up or go down?
See, it's more of a holding is a easy. It's more than a prediction. It's a easy speculation to say, because say the reason I'm saying it's difficult for the Bank of Canada to keep on increasing is because at the moment in our consumer price index, I believe 18% of the inflation is caused by the mortgage inflation.
Mm,
So to keep controlling the mortgage, controlling the inflation by increasing the mortgage may work the opposite way.
Why is that?
Right?
Why is that? Why would it work?
Because say when you increase a percentage in the mortgage, it's going to cost you more to carry that mortgage.
Yes.
So that's going to cost you. I'll give you an example. I mean, like classic example is I believe the food. If you, when you take the food basket, the whole inflation is about. It works out about our food inflation about for a year is about $2,500 more than last year.
Wow.
So if
25.
you take about a year ago to now, if you compare, you're having about $2,500 a year in food inflation,
Yeah.
which broken down into a month would be about $200 more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, for example, you are trying to control that by putting the interest rate from 2% to 4%, and each household is paying about 2,500 a month more in mortgage rates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So if you really look at it, right?
That's
I'm not I'm not an economist, because somebody might find fault with me, but that is not what I'm here for. But I'm trying to say is street smart people have to understand your entire food inflation is only 2,500 a year. You're trying to control that by creating a unwanted expenditure of about 2,500 every month.
wow.
It doesn't work that way. So the whole idea of the government is, because we did quantum financing, we printed a lot of money. We printed 21.5% more money than we ever had. So we have to control that. And I think the measures are being done from, I think 8.9%. We have come down now to 5.8, which is doing its job. But only thing, there is a lag. Whatever was done 6 months ago would take about 9 months for effects to be there. So now, what was done 1 month ago, when we increase it by 0.25, the effect would be after another 6 to 9 months.
Wow. That's incredible. Well, Riyaz, thank you once again for being here. The information you're sharing is so important, I think, for whether someone is actually buying a home for the very first time, or someone who's getting involved in buying their second or third property. I want to finish with this, just have a little bit of fun so our friends can get to know you a little bit. So these are rapid questions that's going to put you on the spot, okay? I want people to know you a little bit, okay? Riyaz, what is your, we did this before, what is your favorite color? I want to see if you have the same answer. What's your favorite color?
It's light blue.
Light blue, white, light blue.
I'm not too sure, but if you look at my wardrobe, most of them are white, light blue or white.
Light blue or white, okay. If you had a favorite dessert, if you have a favorite dessert you could eat right now, what would be your favorite dessert?
It's always jelly.
Jelly. Like when you say jelly, like Jello?
Jello.
Yeah. Okay.
Jello. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what color, what flavor, just Jello in general.
Just have it.
Me too. I love Jello. So we'll have to have a Jello party. My last question for you is this: if you could wave a magic wand right now, if you had a magic, you could wave it right now, and you could do one thing. Okay, this is good. This is one of my most difficult questions. Not for somebody else, because I know you're always thinking of helping somebody. Like even last time when you and I had this conversation, you were overseas, Rusty, and you guys are always like, you guys have events all the time that's always helping other people. Okay. But if you could wave a magic wand, you could do one thing for Riyaz. What would you do right now?
For myself,
Yeah, yeah. If you could do some one thing for yourself right now, because you're always thinking about doing something for somebody else, what would you do for
oh,
yourself?
it's very simple. All I want is, I just want to walk the talk. Whatever I promise, that I walk the talk.
Amazing. Why is that?
It helps. It because it helps me. It helps me to build credibility. It builds my character, who I am, and also at the end of the day, how I do it is when you deliver, the clients and the friends get their results. So it
Yeah,
works both ways.
love it. Because your word is your bond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I mean, like, we could be getting clients, Gordon, at this point in time. Today, we might be getting clients, but then the whole, always we have to understand, what about the mentality or the thinking of the client who gave me the first business when I was
Yes.
new to the business.
Yeah.
It's them, the community that nurtured and nourished me to be what I am now. So
Yeah.
whatever I do has to be with that team, how I can give back to them and contribute back to them, because it's even our clothing or vehicles or whatever, it's what we earn from them.
Amazing. I remember, Vyas, you and I had that conversation at your office, right? You were sharing with me it's what's best for the client. I remember you telling me that. And I think it's evidence in the success that you're having year after year because your clients keep on coming back and trusting you.
Yeah, God, if you may give me a minute, I would like to explain how that happens also.
Yes,
The
please.
reason, it's because there are new realtors who might be watching this, and that
Yes,
will be a very good learning habit for new realtors who are coming into the
yes,
field. Say, it's very easy for us to promise and say, you know what, client, don't buy now, buy in 6 months time. Don't sell now, buy in 6 months time. Then we go without transaction for 6 months. How do you survive? Right?
Mm,
And a novice will ask, Riyaz, are you lying, or are you BS? What the hell are you doing? How are you going to live? How are you going to pay your mortgage? How are you going to pay your car lease? How are you going to do all your travel? Right?
yeah.
There should be answer. So that is why we always advise realtors, when you get in, always get into pre-construction.
Mm,
You got to also focus on pre-construction. So
okay.
when you focus on pre-construction, when a client buys a property, generally it takes about 5 years to build. So
Mm,
for the next five, your commission is proportionately paid over the next 5 years.
wow.
So even, say for example, even if I were not to do anything for the next 3 months, I might be still getting some checks from the previous transactions that were done 4 years ago, 3 years
Yes.
ago, or 2 years ago. So there's a continuous supply of funds that comes to me, which puts me in a situation where I don't want to be greedy to take my clients to a wrong place and fix it with something
Yeah.
else just because I need a transaction.
That is so brilliant because you're now it's not only the sales you make now, but you've got some sales residually that are coming from previous years.
Absolutely.
Wow. So we ask, before we wrap up, I do want to ask you this. I know some agents, they like to keep everything to themselves. What you just shared is so important. I'd love to maybe in the future have you actually talk about pre-construction as well, like go into more details on how and why someone should buy it. How can you make money as a
Of
realtor,
course.
right?
That will
But
be something we could do next week, Gordon, because especially because at this point in time, if you really look at the market this year, they will be constructing or selling 10,000 less condos in the market. The builders are
okay.
builders are cutting down on 10,000 properties to be built this year, which means there is going to be a shortfall of 10,000 properties in another 5 years time.
Wow. So there's going to be a dogfight for
So
that.
let's take it up for the next week's conversation. That will be a good topic.
That would be amazing. Well, once again, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity of time and your knowledge for the folks who are watching today. Thank you, VS.
Thank you, Gordon, and thank you for investing your time. And it's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless you.
you.